Sometimes at large institutions, there's a phrase that's thrown around a lot. Odds are you've probably heard it. Here, you're a name, not a number. It's used a lot. In fact, it's kind of a cliche at this point to talk about how even in large places, people pay individual attention to people. It's actually pretty different from how typically colleges and institutions are portrayed in the media. We've all seen the movies where at the end of the semester, our hero turns in his paper and his teacher never even bothered to learn his name. Well, here's the deal. At LSU Health Shreveport, that couldn't be farther from the truth. Because here, you really are a name, not a number, and I have a story to tell you about as to why that is absolutely true. It showcases how there's a unique relationship here at LSU Health Shreveport between the faculty and their students. Because today we're speaking to a member of our faculty and a student who wouldn't be sitting here today if it weren't for the quick thinking of her professor. Because of her, she saved her life. We'll tell you more about that on the LSU Health Shreveport podcast. Making their LSU Health Shreveport podcast debut today, Dr. Michon Revader and Rachel Banister. Dr. Revader is the director of the Cardiovascular Technology program within the LSU Health Shreveport School of Health Professions and Sciences, and that's the program that Rachel will soon be the very first graduate of. Glad to have you guys both on the show today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So let's take it back to the very beginning. And Rachel, how did you discover that you wanted to have a career in healthcare one day?
Yeah. I think starting out, I had a lot of injuries in sports. And so for middle school, I kind of knew healthcare is what I wanted to do. But I wasn't sure in what aspect of it or in what capacity. And then I kind of just fell into cardiac stuff. My first job was as a CNA on a cardiac unit, so that kind of got my interest. And then the more I learned, the more I realized it's what I wanted to do.
And that translates into the Cardiovascular Technology program, which is something that people watching this might not be very familiar with right here at LSU Health Shreveport. So could you kind of explain what that program is, Dr. Revader?
So we have a bachelor's in cardiovascular technology, and with this degree, students have two career paths. So one, the first year we focus on invasive or the cardiac cath lab, where they assist physicians that are treating heart attacks and wires and stents to help open vessels. And then in their senior year, they segue into non-invasive or cardiac sonography. So similar to ultrasound of babies, of mom's belly, we're doing ultrasound of the heart, right? And so both of these are looking at diagnosing heart conditions, which is leading cause of death right in Louisiana, as well as treating those.
So how do you find LSU Health Shreveport?
Honestly, it just started with the Google search. I was just looking up mostly invasive programs, just kind of looking up to see what there was and where they were, and I came across this one, and it was just really interesting because it did invasive and non-invasive, so that's kind of what drew me in.
Did you ever envision a world where you're living in Shreveport, Louisiana?
It was not. It was not what I thought, but I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Well,
but yeah, it was not Louisiana. If you would have asked me a couple of years ago, I would have never thought I'd be living here.
So I'm curious then. Okay, so you move here, you start working in the program, you get connected with everyone here on campus. When's the moment, or was there a moment where you really just felt like I belong here? This is my place now.
I think my first feeling of that was actually before the program started. I came and visited, because the program started in May, and I came and visited in April, and I met with Dr. Revader and some of the other staff, and I left there, and I just kind of had a gut feeling like this is where I should be, so kind of just ended up following it, and I'm glad it worked out.
Me too. And as if she's not sitting right next to you,
right.
You can't elbow her. What was your first impression of Dr. Revader?
She was super nice, supportive. She fielded calls from me for every day for a week with random questions. So always very patient and calm, very informative.
So what does class look like for people that have never experienced it? I know that the class sizes are small right now because the program's still kind of beginning. But at the same time, what will people experience if they were in a CVT program class?
It is a deep dive into the heart, deeper than we thought we knew. We'd always say we thought we knew a lot about the heart, and then it's oh, wait, I didn't know all the nooks and crannies of the heart, right? And so then it's that on top of going into the cath environment. So 2 days of the week we're learning about it, and then on Friday you're right in the cath lab seeing it in real time.
And like I mentioned right off the top of this recording, you're the soon-to-be, in May, the first graduate for this program. So that alone tells you guys, class sizes are small. So when a student doesn't show up to class, we immediately know, right? So let's take me back to October of last year and kind of tell me the story of what happened with Rachel.
So October was a Friday, and we normally have class about 9-ish. And so 9 o'clock, 9:05, I don't see one of my students, and I'm like, well, where are they? And so I kind of like peek through the windows because I know sometimes parking can be an issue. Other faculty were like, maybe they overslept, maybe they're just not coming today. And I'm like, no, this just does not seem right. And so I'm texting and calling and emailing, trying to see where she is, and wouldn't get a response. And it went from, okay, I'm not getting a response, to after some time passed, I want to go over there, or should we call someone to go over there? What should we do? And that led to calling 911 for a welfare check.
And is there anything that you remember during this time at all?
No, not at all during this time. The last thing I remembered was like roughly around dinner time the night before. I had turned in a paper and then was relaxing. It was a Thursday night, so I was watching some Thursday night football, and that was the last thing I remember doing. So,
wow. Okay. And then, so you call in a welfare check, then what happens?
After the welfare check, they wound up letting us know that they would need to bring her to the hospital. And so that's where I then wanted to go to the hospital to see what was going on. I'm like, whatever's going on, I want her to see my face. I know her family is out of town. No.
So do you mind sharing what did happen to you in those moments?
Yeah, so what happened was I had a brain aneurysm that ruptured. So it ruptured, and I don't know if I lost consciousness fully or not. Not really sure what I was doing, but I was pretty out of it. And so apparently when it ruptured is pretty much kind of when I blacked out.
And at this point, your parents are states away. You're here in Shreveport, Louisiana for school. And, you know, your community is this school at that point. So Dr. Revader's there with you. But do you remember, you know, what occurs over the next few weeks as you're in the hospital?
Not until about 2.5 weeks later I came to, and I was in the critical care unit. And that was the first thing I remembered. And then for a couple days there, it was just like bits and pieces, and then started to remember more full days. But yeah, I had no idea any of what had happened.
So as you start to put things back together, when does it really hit you, like, how serious this is?
Honestly, that took a while. I feel like some days it still kind of hits me. Because me and my family actually talk about it. We're like, was it like really that serious? And then we're like, well, yeah, it was. But yeah, it took a little while for it to sink in, because I think at first when I heard what had happened, I was mostly just confused. It was like, what? Because it was so random. I mean, it's not something you really think about as happening, especially to you. So
So, you know, just what's going through your mind as all this is transpiring? I mean, I know it's such a loaded question, but seriously, like, you know, what are you thinking? I mean, not only are you faculty, but you work in healthcare. You know what's going on. You know the severity of this moment.
It put me right back at the bedside. I was like, this is just like that patient where it's like, doctor, can you come take another look? I think something's going on. And we stay there with them throughout it, you know, whether it's getting them to the ICU or, you know, to another area within the hospital. And so that's where I went. I went from, okay, I'm no longer faculty. Now I am working, as well as this dual role of being the only familiar face in this state at that time.
So having heard that and hearing what she's going through, how does an experience like this kind of shape who you'll be as you enter the healthcare workforce one day?
I think it definitely makes you more like empathetic, be there for those patients in those situations too, you know, when they're alone, and be that person for them, even if you don't necessarily know them, just to make sure that they're all right and be there for them.
Like, I don't want to get too morbid, but if you hadn't chose LSU Health Shreveport and you weren't here and they didn't call, like, this story would be very different, or at least it could be. Do you think about that sometimes?
Yeah, definitely there's been the outcome, and like the doctor told me that only like 50% of people even make it to the hospital with an aneurysm like that. So that definitely put it into perspective of, you know, it could have been very different. So I'm very grateful. And it was on a Friday too, so it's like, it's not till Monday, and my parents don't know my daily schedule, so they wouldn't have known anything was wrong. So
so let's talk about that. I mean, just the idea, obviously you're right. I mean, thank goodness it wasn't, you know, wait until Monday's class and you have, you know, 48 hours. But did the doctors say anything about, you know, what if it had been the following day, or what if it had been a few hours later? Have they talked to you about that? Have you heard anything?
Not really. They were trying to figure out how long I had kind of been down to kind of determine, like the odds of having deficits and disability and things like that. But really no one could really tell them because we're not really sure. It could have been anywhere from probably about 10 to 12 hours is what we estimated. So.
Okay. So when did you make it back to class?
So I came back, so that happened October 3rd. Then was it the first week of November we went back to class? Yeah, and
Okay.
I had, at first we did Zoom because I still had a PICC line and stuff and was having to do medications at home. So we did Zoom at first and then went back into class.
First off, wow. I mean, that's such a quick turnaround.
Yeah, I got out of the hospital on Halloween, on
Okay.
October 31st, then went back that next week.
Okay, so that's wild, but okay. So then you're back in class on November 1st. How's it been since then? Kind of getting back into the rhythm, getting back into the routine. I mean, obviously they saved your life, but then you have to put your life back together after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was definitely kind of in a rush to get back to my life. It's good. It's been a little bit more difficult. Focusing and things like that are a little bit harder, just because my brain is still healing. Focusing schoolwork is a little bit more difficult. I just have to set more time aside and stuff like that. But overall, it's going well.
So let's look ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Because, at the time we're taping this, we're a few weeks away from the next big moment.
Mm-hmm.
Commencement, May 9th. You'll walk across the stage as the first graduate of this program, but also as just a graduate that's ready to enter the workforce after a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. Just having that second chance. I feel like I've definitely have a new perspective and outlook on things, and I'm excited to really take full advantage of it. So.
I'm looking at you as she's talking, and I mean, I know it's always emotional for the faculty no matter what, when the people that you've poured years into walk across that stage. But is her experience even more special? Knowing when she does walk across, what's that moment going to be like for you, Dr. Revader?
Oh, I don't even know. I have to get ready for that. It's just, from the talks, like she mentioned, when she was interested and talking back and forth, and it was like someone moved all the way from Colorado and chose LSU Shreveport for this. And yes, it will be exciting.
What do you want people to know? As we kind of began this discussion, I mentioned the idea of you're a name, not a number. And look, that is a cliche. I mean, everybody says that all the time, right? But truthfully, I mean, when it comes to the students here, they share a really unique relationship with the faculty. What do you want them to know about that? Why do you guys care so much? Why do you notice when your student doesn't show up to class and doesn't answer their phone?
I think for me, it goes back to being that clinician. We know how it is to work in the hospital, and even though we've come across to the academic side, we don't lose those skills. That's with you forever. And so we know that, and that's what we try to foster in our students, that empathetic, compassionate caregiver that does not give up. We really know our stuff. We make sure you know your stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And so that we push because we want to have, better health outcomes because that patient life is in our hands.
Post-graduation. Mm-hmm. What comes next?
That's a good question. We're still working on that.
Everybody loves that question, right?
We'll see. Just hopefully getting a full-time job. I'd like to work in a cath lab and do that. Go more on the invasive side, but we'll see. I have no idea where that entails yet, so kind of have to wait and see.
We don't want any prospective student to go through anything close to what you had to. Mm-hmm. I mean, or anyone for that matter. But what would you want to tell students that might be like you, that are Googling a program to join right now for the next 4 to however long years they'll be here? What would you want them to know about the culture of LSU Health Shreveport and the way that their faculty will take care of you and guide you, not necessarily through welfare checks, but just for check-ins while they're students here?
I think it's that they truly have your back here. Like you were saying in the beginning with the cliche, not just a number, but here it really is. It's true. They really will be there for you and make sure you're doing okay. And even during the tornadoes and inclement weather here, Dr. Revader will reach out and make sure the students are safe and doing okay. And so they just extend beyond the classroom.
Just before we wrap up, what do you want people to know about the program? As you look for the next class of Rachels, right? what do you want them to know about what to expect before day one and how they're going to be welcomed here when they join campus?
I think this is an exciting offering that's offered here that opens up multiple career paths. We're right next door to the state-of-the-art center where you can, again, apply everything you're learning. You train with the physicians, and so it's just a great opportunity to earn a bachelor's degree in a really lucrative field.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you guys both being here today, and I appreciate you all watching. For more information on the LSU Health Shreveport podcast, it's really easy. Just check out our website, lsuhs.edu. If you are interested in being on the show, it's easy as well. Shoot me an email, shvcommunications@lsuhs.edu. We look forward to the next episode, and we really look forward to screaming for you when you walk across the stage.
Thank you. Thanks.